Are you looking to grow revenues, increase profitability, or obtain financing? If so, you came to the right place.
Running a business is all about leadership. How do you become a better leader? Learn from the successful entrepreneurs and business owners how to lead your organization more effectively. That's why we created Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business, to help you succeed with your host, Andrew Frazier, Business Growth Pro and CFO and founder of the Small Business Pro University. Every Tuesday evening at 8 p.m. Eastern, we're joined by experienced entrepreneurs and business owners who share their secrets to success via live stream. Also, every Friday morning, we release a new podcast episode. Either way, you will learn about developing your business leadership skills from our roster of highly performing guest experts. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpru.com.
Good evening. Welcome back to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier, and excited to be hanging out with you once again on Tuesday evening. Can't believe the month of September is already over, and we're headed to the end stretch of the year. So very exciting time for entrepreneurs and business owners. Hope you're getting ready for Black Friday and the holidays, if that's a key time for your business. So once again, welcome. Glad to have you here with us, and excited about tonight's show. We're going to be talking with Beverlee Rasmussen, and the topic is an interesting topic because we're going to be talking about not needing unicorns, but needing systems, and that's something that's key to me. Because I'm always talking to people about working on your business instead of in your business. And working on your business, systems is a main component of that. So if you're going to move your business forward, you're going to grow, you're going to prepare to scale, you're going to have to set up systems and processes. And for many business owners, it's confusing and scary. So we're going to make it easier and faster for you to be able to do that more successfully. So look forward to chatting with Beverly, and feel free as always to comment and ask questions throughout the show. Hey Beverly, good evening. How you doing?
I'm doing excellent, Andrew. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Great. Thanks for joining me. Definitely, this is a topic and something I talk with clients about all the time. And it's great getting to know you and what you're doing and how you're really focusing on it. So I think we're going to have a great conversation and share a lot of valuable insights for our audience. So, you're up in Canada, and so what's the weather? What's everything like up there these days?
It's interesting that our U.S. friends always ask about the weather. So just for context, I'm way on the West Coast.
Okay.
For folks that know the I-5 ends at the top of Washington State. And if you if you hit a baseball across the line, you'll land in Langley, British Columbia, which is where I live.
Okay.
And the weather's very similar to Seattle. So it's a rainforest, and today was raining. So yeah.
Okay. Excellent. So I'm glad you're able to join us from there, and look forward to chatting. So I can't do your introduction justice. So I'd rather have you sort of talk a little bit about your journey, sort of where you came from, where you are now, and a little bit about how you got there. Sound good?
Sounds great. Yeah. Thank you. Okay, well, I think that we've talked about I was a small business owner turned today's small business coach and academic researcher. On basically my whole professional and academic career has been focusing on reducing small business failure. So starting up, going way back when I started my business, I had a young son, and it was hard to find daycare, and my working environment was not conducive to being a mom. a single mom for that. And my only choice, I felt, was to have my own business. But I actually didn't have a clue about running a business. I knew I was a great travel agent, but I really had no idea what I was getting myself into. So you know how it goes, Andrew. There's leasehold improvements and hiring people and doing books and regulations and legal and all that stuff. And fortunately, I was turned on to the idea of systems really early in my career, and was able to. It was just a fantastic tool to be able to organize the business, to scale the business, and to get the business running independent of me. So I had it for 7 years. We did topped out at around $3 million a year in revenue, and I sold the travel agency at a time you couldn't give one away. And the reason that he bought mine was because of the different ones he was looking at. I was the only owner that didn't work in the business, as you were just saying. So I had just worked on the business, got it, as I said, to run independent of me. So I left that. Got married, had a couple more kids, which is great. Took some time off, and then really started to figure out, this was really bugging me. In 1997, we lost 70% of our revenue, and 39% of all agencies went out of business. And I saw the heartache there. I had my stuff together, and in that time, we switched to fee-based pay, and our revenue went up 11%. But here we are, 40% of my colleagues had gone out of business. So I started helping them, and then so that's sort of like that. I think that's kind of when I became a business coach. Spent 3 years interviewing small business owners, talked to 3,300 of them, and their stories broke my heart. It's hard, up there, the failure rate of small business. I just did some statistics with my master's, and it's still at 51%. So you start a business today and you've got a 50-50 chance. And I don't think that's okay. I think we need to do better for our small business owners. So I call myself a small business champion. I've written a couple of books, and just have a different way, taking the idea of systems to a whole new level. It's not just about creating the operations manual. It's really about systems thinking and creating an environment that works for the owner. So I don't know, is that enough of an introduction?
So welcome. Definitely you've done a lot of things. Like many people, you start out and you got a lot of things to learn. I always say that you can learn either two ways, either by taking the time to learn and prepare, or by losing money.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody loses a little money, but you got to manage how much you lose. So in the early days, when you were learning, what were some of the key things that you learned, both through preparation, but also what are some of the ways you lost money, and what are the key learnings that you found from there as well?
Yeah, that's actually really good insight. So I think from a lost money perspective, being a single mom with her house on the line, I was as careful as you could get on that one. So I made sure that the idea of I made sure that actually didn't happen. And I think that's, again, where putting the systems in place was really valuable. But definitely can. I was thinking of a story that's in my book, where you can't all of a sudden become a bookkeeper or an accounting professional as a small business owner. So I'd had a notice from the International Air Transportation about some paperwork I needed to complete, and I got a notice. I think I kind of ignored it because I was busy. Business owners are busy. And then on a Friday, I got a final notice, and the notice said, if we don't have your review engagement into our office by Monday at 5:00, we're going to shut you down. So, Andrew, you know what that means. It means that it's a very complex, very long, very expensive process that apparently travel agents needed to go through. So my first year in business, I didn't know that. Fortunately, my husband's best friend was an accountant, and he said, okay, he cleared his whole schedule, spent the whole weekend with me, and I learned everything about finance in that weekend. And then I was able to get the paperwork in, literally 5 minutes before the end of the day, down into the office in Vancouver. So had I not handed in that paperwork, I would have had to stop selling travel that day. So I think that's one really good example of something that can happen.
All right. Okay. No, definitely. Everybody's had scary days or scary letters and other things as a business owner. So identify with that. And, I definitely get calls for people who get letters like that, or sometimes from the IRS or other people too. But, and as a business owner, you have a lot of ups and downs, and usually they're bigger ups and bigger downs. So, it's something I don't know if you ever fully get used to, but it is part of the journey, and way to kind of enjoy the journey. So, definitely those are key things. So, one of the most important things, like I talked about, working on your business, is really developing systems and processes to be able to do that successfully. So, we're going to spend most of the evening focused on that. So feel free to call in, but I'm going to take like a second just to do a quick commercial. Those of you who are familiar with my events, we're doing a networking event on Thursday, the 26th. So I invite you to check us out as well. We do a power breakfast, and that's going to be the next day on the 27th. So here's a quick video about what we have upcoming with the power breakfast, and hopefully you can join us. It's a great event here in New Jersey, and looking forward to doing that. So I think we've got it. Okay. All right. I'll just go with this one. Okay. If you are looking to increase revenues, improve profitability, and or obtain financing for your business, you need to check out the Power Breakfast and Small Business Pro conferences.
My name is Andrew Frazier. One of the things we're here to do is supercharge your day.
Today's Power Breakfast has really been a phenomenal experience. I think it's exactly what business owners need, some true guidance of people who are genuine and really are leading them in the true direction of business growth and expansion.
The Power Breakfast is so important for the entrepreneurial community because it gives the various business people who come together an opportunity to interact and also do some business.
These events, hosted by Andrew Frazier, President and COO of Small Business Like a Pro, will supercharge your day.
And today we're talking about really not needing unicorns, but needing systems. That's an interesting term, but not everybody really understands what that really may mean. So, we're not talking fairy tales or sci-fi unicorns, but we're talking about in business. So what is a unicorn? And why do you not want unicorns in your business?
Yeah, that term came up when we were talking about how small business owners are distracted by what's latest, greatest, what everyone else is doing, whether it's a social media thing or whether it's a product or a new something new to get into. It's instead of really focusing on what you have in front of you, who your target market is. And having those things, we're just kind of like, it's like a bright, shiny object. And so the idea of systems of like setting aside all the distractions, that bright, shiny thing that is out there, to sit yourself down for 5 hours a week, whether it's an hour a day, 2.5 hours twice a week, or 5 hours once a week, is to really work, as you said, Andrew, work on your business and think about what does this business need? Where am I having, where are the missing or broken systems that are costing me money, or creating disruption in my company, and really focus on those, those foundational pieces. Going back to the IATA system the IATA issue that I ran into, from that, I needed to sit down. I needed to really fix my bookkeeping system after I went through the review engagement. I realized, I really wasn't doing it to the best that I could. So I created a better system. I also created a reporting system around there so that I didn't have to wait a whole year to understand what was happening in the business. I could have that wrapped up at the end of every month. And then, just had another look at some discounting that we were doing. So it's about really being strategic and not getting caught up in the day-to-day chaos that is really typical of a small business.
Okay. All right. Cool. So definitely that. Also, when I think of unicorns, um, unicorns stand out from the crowd and they're different. And, one of the things about creating systems is, standardization, um, you know, setting it up so you don't have to have someone as highly skilled or
Mhm.
someone as highly creative to be able to make your business work. Because if they disappear, then that really hurts your business. If you have your systems right, you can just plug someone else in.
Mhm.
And, that's one of the key things about systems that I'm sure you help people prepare as well.
Mhm.
So, when when should a business start on systems? Like if you don't have any employees, does that matter? Um, what's the context and when should I be thinking about systems if I'm in business?
Yeah. Well, let's take a step back and identify what is a system. I think that's probably the first place. And I think we get maybe confused between a system and a procedure or a process. So a system is simply the way something happens. So from that context, you need to be thinking about that right from day one. Even if you're a solopreneur, you're selling, you're by yourself. Everything you do in order to be able to grow and scale that business, to be able to take it from just me to someone else, you'd be thinking about how do I do it? How is that working? So it's around systems thinking and thinking about the way things are done. And then so when you bump into something, it's you take that pause and take a step back and say, okay, now if you're doing it really well, you need to document it. And if you're not doing it really well, you need to think about how you could do it differently. And I think that's the trick there.
Okay. Okay. So basically from day one, you may not be able to develop systems because you're trying to figure out your business and what your value proposition and what your business is. And then as you figure out what how your business is going to work, that's when you develop your systems. Is that right?
Well, I'm thinking that your value proposition is a system.
Okay. Okay.
Your vision is a system. Your company promise is a system. The way that you take care of your body during the day, if you're working 18 hours a day slaving to get this thing going, that's a system in itself. And so you get sick and all of a sudden you say, okay, we need to change the system, Andrew.
Right. Right.
So I think that when I created the bean board, I don't know if we can share this with your audience another time. Um,
Mhm.
the word systems is only one element in operations, but there's so much more involved. And obviously, you talk a lot about the finance, your reporting, and your revenue, your expenses, your profit. There's hiring systems. Most people are very uncomfortable hiring, and so they just kind of like, okay, well, my best friend over there can do it, so I'll hire him, and then that relationship falls apart. So a huge thing to think about before you make your next hire is put that hiring system in place. What are all the steps you need to go through to make sure that you don't get another expensive bad hire? Even again, we talked about marketing. Knowing your target market. You talked about value proposition. So understanding your target market in the sense your product itself, of being able to identify the product, the way you price things. Yeah, everything's a system.
Okay. All right. So everything, you need a plan around everything that you're doing pretty much.
Pretty much.
And to have a right way of doing it, I guess, is what the system does. It helps with consistency around what you're doing.
Well, what it does is it allows you to step away. So if you have systems, it allows you to leverage what you know. So then
Mhm.
you can bring someone else in to do that. It allows you to, you can work if you want to work, but you don't have to work. Most small business owners say, well, if I get the business running independent of me, then I won't get to cut hair, or I won't get to work with my clients, as their broker or whatever. But it gives you the freedom, the choice. So it structures things the way that you want them to be, because no two businesses are the same. And so that's the beauty of systems. There's no right way or wrong way. There's just your way. You could be selling magic potions, or you could be selling gold. It's really that's the unique thing about entrepreneurship. Everyone has something different. And even if you think about, some people said to me, well, I'm a creative, I don't need systems. Well, if you imagine the Philharmonic Orchestra, their system is the sheet music. If you think of Cirque du Soleil, if you don't raise your left arm exactly at the right time, somebody's going to die. You need that choreographed system in place. And so it's actually a really refreshing way to look at your business, to say, okay, what's working really well? What do I need to write down and improve on? And then what are some things that I'm struggling with that I can like pause and say, what would be a better way to do that?
Okay. No, that's interesting. You mentioned creatives. Over the summer, I did a series of workshops for creative entrepreneurs. And, one of the key things that came out of it is, it's still a business. And, as a business owner, you have to, implement the business side successfully, or you're not going to be able to get the results that you want. So, just like you said, even if you're creative, 80% of what you're doing needs to be common among other businesses as well. And that's where a lot of people get stuck.
Yeah. You still need to get paid. You still need to get customers. There's all the things that you do. There's a way to do it. And
Yeah. So, I always talk about, what's your most important job as a business owner? There's a million things that you could be doing and spending time with. What would you say is the most important thing you should think of as a business owner, and why?
Yeah, I think, boy, that's a really loaded question, because it could go in a lot of different directions. If we're talking about culture, it's our own leadership and how we show up, because how we show up is going to impact everything else around us, how our employees are going to react, how our clients are going to react. So keeping on the theme of systems as the owner, and if is around developing those systems and making decisions of how you want things done. So, because otherwise things are just going to happen how they happen, and you won't get the results you want. And really that goes back to like, why did you start this business in the first place? What do you want from it? And making sure that, I call that the North Star. So you've got this decision, you want to have a business because you want maybe more personal freedom. You want to gain, you want to gain some financial independence. As I say, enough money to take the issue of money off the table and the time to enjoy it. So if that's the goal, then as the owner, you kind of work backwards from there. So what are the things I need to have in place? And so you're the visionary, you're the decision maker. The thing with the travel agency is I had a very specific way I wanted things done. And I didn't want to go to a Rotary Club meeting and have someone say to me, hey, Sue didn't call me back, because I would be like gutted if that happened. So I had as the leader, I put those systems in place so that everyone did everything the Somerville way. And so, on time, every time, as promised, that's how we did things. And so my job as the leader was to help develop the systems. I didn't write them all myself. In fact, our operations manual was only 27 pages back then. And that was enough to get us through really successfully. So keeping those key things, pulling the team together. Your employees, they show up and they want to help you. They want the job. They want to see you do well. But if we don't provide that guidance and some parameters of how to do it, they're going to be frustrated. You're going to be frustrated. Your clients are going to be frustrated because they're going to get an inconsistent results. So it really is going back to, thinking in systems as the leader.
Okay. So definitely thinking in systems. I do this show because, as a leader, your business can only go as far as you're prepared to take it. So we try and cover a lot of topics that can help you become a better leader. And a big piece of being a better leader is knowledge about business, so that you can make good business decisions.
Yes.
You talked about here, business owners, setting up systems for consistency. And when I think of the most important job, I think of it as sales and marketing, because you're not going to have a business if you sell and marketing. But sales and marketing, having a system of how you do that is really important. if you're thinking about systems for sales and marketing, what are some of the key things that you should be looking at or thinking about when you're putting together your systems and processes for sales and marketing?
Yeah, great question. And thinking about sales and marketing, you can have great sales and marketing, get lots of clients in, but if your operations aren't tight, it's going to fall apart. If your financial model doesn't make sense, and you're giving away more than you're bringing in, you're gonna lead to that failure point. And if your team doesn't know what's going on, so I will almost always say this: the sales and marketing kind of come last, even though you might want to think to put it first. But to directly answer your question, because Andrew, I could get going on this topic, is one, understanding your target market, two, making sure your product is crystal clear in the minds of those who want it. So there's no ambiguity about what it is, what it includes, what it costs, how it's packaged, how it's delivered, really making it clear. People love to, Jeffrey Gitomer talks about, people don't like to be sold, but they love to buy. So making your products easy to buy, that's in a sense a system. Your pricing model is a system. Your distribution model, whether you distribute online, through Shopify or through a myriad of other different ways, Etsy, whether you have a storefront, or whether you're selling popcorn at the ball game, it doesn't matter. That whatever the distribution model, again, is a system, you do it the same way every time. Having a brand and a brand identity, a visual identity guide is what I have is, so, make a decision on what your colors and fonts and things are going to be, and then just use them consistently. It'll save you a lot of time, it'll save you a lot of stress, and it'll start to have your brand recognized in the market. Of course, promotion, when you think of marketing, you think of promotion. So there's, you're out generating leads, promoting your business. But then the other side of that, also then systems for sales. So that if you go to let's say a trade show and you collect a bunch of names, that's promotion. And that's, maybe once a year you go and do this. So what are you going to do with those names? What's your system for following up and making sure that those people who said, hey, I'm interested, that have some kind of relationship with you. Then, of course, really common, you're fantastic at this, networking systems. You've got your breakfast. You've got this event here. In 2023, it's in even sooner, it's really been important to have systems for collecting data, who are your customers, whether that's a mailing list or however you're going to continue to keep track of things. And then finally, a way to, I think marketing a good way to retain clients. So what do you do when most business owners tell me, they said, I said, where do you get your clients from? And they go, oh, word of mouth. Okay, so those mouths, you need to take care of them. You need to go back and say, so they get a pat on the back or some recognition that they've given you, they've shared your business with them. So those are my marketing systems.
Okay, great. No, definitely, all those are key. I've heard the referral thing all the time. But, if you want referrals, you need to ask for them. And what's your system for asking? How are you going to get people to do more referrals for you? So, that's key. So now it feels a little scary and overwhelming because you're like, I need a system for this, I need a system for that, I need a system for that. And I'm like, I don't even have any system. So how do I get it? what I do and where do I start? So, if you you probably have systems, but don't even know it. But, where do you start if you haven't really thought about this or tried to implement anything like this?
Yeah, that's a good question. So you need a system for your systems, of course. There's a lot of great places where you can keep your operational procedures, processes written down. Google, Microsoft, Atlassian's Confluence is a great option. So the first place is find some place where you're going to store it. We have this wonderful thing now called AI, and where it used to be really difficult to write a system out, now you can use ChatGPT and it'll help you, put in some good prompts. Have a client that has a store and they sell cheese and meats and things, and so we just ask the computer to tell us, how to open the case and close the case, and it wrote it all out for you. So you have an advantage now in 2023. AI will really help with systems. So that's the technical system for the systems. Decide where you're going to put them, how you're going to organize them. I organize in our programs, I organize them by leadership systems, which are those things we talked about: goals and promise and value and change and taking care of yourself and communication. And then operational systems, which is how the business operates, your production and your service. how you manage your technology. Your financial systems are another set of systems. We talked about those. And your team systems, your org chart, your compensation, your contracts, those kinds of things. And then your marketing and sales systems, which we went all through. So having said all that, you said I'm completely overwhelmed. Where do I start? So I have 3 things to say about that. So the first system you'd want to work on is if it's hurting your reputation, because nothing will take your business out faster than money will disappear. So if there's something going on and you're finding yourself that it's just hurting your reputation in the market, you want to really have a look at those systems first. The second one is if it's costing you money. So we don't want to go too long, like a lot of my colleagues way back with the travel agency, losing money, really understanding that. So if it's costing you money and if you're not profitable, stop, figure out what that system is. Work with Andrew, work with a professional and figure out, what is your financial system? What is your profit system? How do you make money? What do you need to do? And the third thing is, and you said it, we were talking about unicorns. So you've got someone holding you ransom. You have an employee that knows everything. So you want to start getting those things written down. Everything that they do, they put it in the system. So then the question I get on that is, well, what if they do brain surgery? Well, we're not talking about writing down every single little thing, but it maybe every single little thing does matter. If you look at the checklist manifesto, it'll tell you it's a book on systems, how they improved hospitals when they started doing those things. So yeah, so if it's hurting your reputation, costing you money, and you don't know how to do it, that's sort of the order to start looking at your systems.
Okay. So, definitely those are good priorities, because you definitely don't want to be losing money. You don't want to mess up the future of your business through messing up your reputation and your brand. Especially as a business owner, your brand is you. So not only is your reputation impact you in business, if you go back to a job or whatever you do, even beyond this business, you're going to carry your reputation with you. So it's extremely valuable. One of the things I talk to people about, and unfortunately they usually don't have, is a business plan. And that's really the first, I would say that it seems like probably the first step to even developing systems, because you have to have a plan and know what you're trying to do. And then I guess the systems in many ways outline how you're going to do it your unique way. And definitely business plans can be scary, but one of the things that I make it less scary is let people know that your business plan can be in most any format that you want. I liken it to a diet. What's the best diet? And it's the one that you're going to follow. So it doesn't make any sense to write a business plan and just put it on the shelf. So if you need to write it in a way that you're going to use it. I mean, I do mine in PowerPoint. Different people do it different ways. It doesn't matter if it's chicken scratch or chicken scratch isn't as good when you're trying to share with others, but the key is that you're putting something together that's going to help you. And the systems is the next level down from your business plan. What about formats for that as well? Are there certain ways you should put them together? Does it not matter so much? What do you recommend?
Yeah, I really appreciate you bringing the idea of business plans into the conversation, because just jumping in without the plan and not knowing, what the numbers need to be, like the whole plan, putting that together is so important. I see that over and over again when I often get called in when a business is really hurting and on the verge of going under, and I'll say, where's the business plan? Or do you have your business plan? We'll pull that out. And more often than not, there was not a plan in place. And like you said, it doesn't have to be a fancy plan. I like to think of a business owner having a living business plan. So if you do have one, and dust it off, bring it back to life and have a look at it and see what needs to be updated on that plan. And sorry, Andrew, I forgot your next question.
All right. So, definitely, what type of formats, for systems.
For the systems. Okay, good. Yeah. So again, it really, it's up to you. Again, I had a paper binder with 27 pages typed out in a Word document, and it was a long time ago. With today's technology, I would go with whatever system you're more comfortable with. Lots and lots of clients use Google Docs. You can lock down documents. I know Microsoft has, I don't use it, so I'm not completely familiar with their programs, but I know they've got their own really in-depth, really well-established written policies where you can put tags and different things. I use a program called Confluence. So it's created by Atlassian out of Australia. I've used them for a long, long time. And they're the underpin for a lot of big organizations. So they have a really cool ops manual in there. I think it's like $10 a month. So it's whatever you're comfortable with, whether it's throwing them in a binder, just having them, again, if the binder's on the shelf and it's sitting over there, it's not going to be very helpful. So systems also are not locked. They're a stage of continuous improvement. So having it accessible so that your team are going to use it. You go through all this hassle of writing everything out. If no one ever uses it or sees it, then you've just wasted your time. So involve your team in that. How do we do that? And ask your team. You may think one way of how it needs to be done, and their teams will tell you, excuse me, Beverly, that actually doesn't work. So really listen. Again, as a business owner, having that skill to really stop and listen and hear what's going on at the front, and really taking their suggestions and get them to help you write the systems out would be super helpful.
Okay, great. So, definitely incorporating your employees into it, and even asking them to write write down how their system works. One thing I like to sometimes start with is checklists, because that's something easy for people to wrap their hands around. And especially if you're going to work with others, I'm working with a virtual assistant, and having a checklist is easy to be able to know that they know what they need to do, and you can know that it's actually getting done.
Yeah.
And you can all, it should be living. You can always add to it and subtract to it, but you need to have it so that at least there's consistency around. So we do have a question from Michelle. She says, "Hey Beverly," she appreciates, thanks. What do you use, or do you use process mans for SIPOC as visuals for documenting systems? So first, tell us what SIPOC is, because I don't know what it is. Do you?
Process maps, yeah. Specifically, acronyms get thrown around a lot, and with today's technology, I don't exactly know SIPOC. I'm assuming it's a way of mapping and documenting the systems. So again, it goes back to how you're wired. I've got small business owners that are very visual, others that are very text heavy. Nothing better than a good process map, and it's part of our process for developing the system is to draw a picture of it. Take the activity and then just literally put it on paper, whether you're doing it on a computer or with your hands. So does that answer your question, Michelle? And maybe you can type out SIPOC for us, and then we'll both know. We're okay not knowing, because there's
right. So definitely.
Where I realize I don't know. I just got my master's, and I'm like, I don't know anything. It just opened up a whole world of more questions. So.
Definitely. So so definitely looking forward to seeing what SIPOC is. All right, so here we go.
Okay. Suppliers inputs, yes. Okay, yeah, good. Yes. So that's part of the mapping process, all the different pieces. Thank you, Michelle.
Okay. Appreciate your question and everybody's comments, and feel free to continue to share. So Beverly, you've written I guess a couple books now. And I have your first one called The Small Business Field Guide.
Right.
And tell me a little bit about what that is and what was so important that made you want to write it.
Thank you. I was not okay with this 4 to 5 businesses failing, only 4% making it till the 10th birthday. I knew that I could help reduce small business failure rates if I could get the knowledge that I had and into the hands of other small business owners. So the field guide actually started off with a map, and that's where the game board came from. If you saw the first one, it's actually drawn on a napkin, so it kind of looks like this now. And so also when I was so these are 52 competencies. These are all the things you need to have to create an organized and profitable business. And I wanted academic credit for this as well, because I had started graduate school and I was trying to figure out, how do I answer this question of reducing small business failure? So step by step, I started putting together each thing on the board. I used adult learning principles, Bloom's taxonomy, to go from like, hey, I'm a small business owner, I have no clue what you're talking about. So here, telling people what it is, how it applies to them, to be able to evaluate it and create it. And so that's the process. So the field guide is 356 pages, all written in very clear, simple language of each of the competencies. And so I think it was important because there's a lot of fluff in the market. And I don't want to offend anyone, but for about 3 years, I looked at SMART goals and I interviewed small business owners. It was part of a thing, I was kind of on this thing, do SMART goals really work? If you ask a small business owner, they're too busy, they don't have time, they get too frustrated. And so I said, well, what is a goal? And so how do you successfully achieve a goal? How do you set a goal and how do you achieve it? And I happen to have 1,800 small business books, which help, and just thirsty for trying to solve this problem. And, at the end of the day, a goal needs to have a purpose. And that's like the foundation key piece. And then you do need to write it down and share it. So that's how each piece was sort of put together. So it was there's nothing in here that's conventional that I just grabbed off the shelf from the internet and said, hey, because I think small business owners are fed a lot of that stuff. And so I really wanted to be pragmatic and I wanted it to make a difference. And it is, because our book's been translated into Lithuanian. Now we're working on German and Spanish. And we've proven that the system of teaching these and sharing these competencies with small business owners is reducing failure. More important than that, it's growing the businesses because once you get your house in order and you know how to get your house in order and it's clear. When I owned my agency and I was, a young single mom, people were talking at me, they're talking down, and I had to do this, and I'm like scrambling, looking everywhere. So if I had one place where I could go and say, okay, well, just tell me how to do this, and then I would do it. So I think that's what I created, and I'm really proud of it.
Excellent. So yeah, no, I mean, definitely, have taken a look through it. Haven't read the whole thing, of course, by now, but definitely some great stuff and easy to understand because there's so many things you need to know that you need to be able to understand them quickly and easily, and having learning and not just words but visual and exercises makes a huge difference. So great job with that.
Let me give an example, Andrew, of something that came from clients is, small business owners, they take out leases in the storefront. But how many times I walked into a situation where the lease was presented, the owner signed it, and then they only realized afterwards that they had to spend $65,000 in additional leasehold improvements to put in the plumbing. So now I have a checklist before you sign a lease to make sure that you've done your due diligence. You're not renting a place that the previous restaurant left because there were some ants in the building. And so those kinds of things, like just to better protect small business owners and give small business owners are responsible for 7 out of every 10 jobs on the planet. 90% of businesses are considered small. So they're responsible for our communities and they're the most generous people on the planet. So we need to do better. We need to do better by them.
Yes, and the ranks are growing. Less and less people are taking traditional employment, or even if they have traditional employment, they have a business on the side or are planning to have a business, and so definitely the knowledge rate is. I always say people are like woefully unprepared for what they're about to do because it does take a lot to be successful in business. So getting help from people who actually understand what you're trying to do is key. And I think your book is not just based on things that sound like they would make sense for a business, but actually based on actual practical, concepts and strategies that you've employed and you've helped other people employ. And that's what led me to write my first book as well. You sort of see that. I just saw there were a lot of patterns of key things that business owners didn't know, and I had to educate them on. But not knowing those things can really hurt you. So try to put it all in one place where you can really just understand. If you know something about all those things, when they come up, you can make better decisions. And even if you don't remember it, you remember that there's something that you need to know when those situations come up, because a lot of times, you may not know, but that's still not going to help you in many situations. So makes a lot of sense. So now, with what you're doing, when you're working with clients, what's the first meeting like? What do you do? How do you talk to them, and what is your goal when you initially meet with them?
Yeah, again, another great question. I think this is a good segue to understand too, is I started off as a business consultant because I can fix any business. That's my jam. The problem is I would go into a meeting and no one ever listened to me. And so I had an agenda. We were going to do this, this, and this, and it literally never, ever happened. And so that's when I realized I needed some help, and I went and got a graduate certificate in executive coaching. And I learned about the neuroscience of sort of coaching and of human behavior, of how we're wired. We're not wired to be told what to do. So I definitely take a coach approach to working with clients, and it's all about them. So I stand beside them. It's your agenda, and it's we just establish what's that North Star. What do you let's say we've worked together for 18 months, and at the end of the 18 months, you're shaking my hand and you said, yes, I've got it. What is the got it? What is it that you have? And so every meeting comes back to that North Star. And so each individual meeting, it might become something different. It might be a problem with your employees or whatever that's going on. To get through those, what is the most important thing we need to focus on today that would help you in your business, that would add value? And so bit by bit by bit, you'll figure out your own systems that you need. Having that conversation really helps, make that process go a lot faster. And so that's, generally, and I do now have, I think we're up to 25 certified systems business coaches in the world. Again, Lithuania, Germany, London, the US, Canada, New Zealand, Malaysia. So I'm teaching others to do what I do, because there's just me. And by myself, at one point I had a 2-year waiting list for 5 years, and that was a bit overwhelming. So I made the decision to start training others to do what I do. So that would be a call to anyone that's really passionate about small business owners that wants to help. Definitely reach out.
Okay. So definitely, being able to do this on an international basis and help other people learn how to do it for business owners is key. So being able to, you're a business also. So, you've got your systems and processes, and, same for me. I'm still, a lot less of a team, but we're planning some ways to grow and expand, but having a clarity on what you're trying to do and how you're going to do it, and a way to onboard people and bring people in so that they can become effective as quickly as possible is key.
I love the community that you've created. It's really powerful, and I'm looking forward to engaging with that with our systems. And so I see, as soon as we met, we were, going back and forth and speaking the same language. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where that goes.
Definitely. Same here. Setting things up like that, that's just another thing that business owners need to be successful. They need to have an ecosystem. Access to resources, access to the right connections and people, and access to the knowledge that they need to be able to be successful. So, that's really the goal around that. And, and looking forward to helping a lot of business owners through that. So,
Yes. Can I plug my new book now?
oh, sure, sure.
So this book is being launched on Thursday, and it's been a while in the making. Small Business, Big Opportunity, what we've been talking about today: systematize your small business, create personal freedom, and live the entrepreneurial dream. And so it goes back to 2019. I was working with one of my mentors, Jim Horan, who wrote the one-page business plan. And Jim said to me at the time, he said, "Beverly, you need to digitize your material and you need to write your book." Because most authors write their book first and then they do their field guide. I've kind of done it opposite. Sadly, Jim passed away that year and was never able to read the book, but he certainly inspired me to get on it. And so this is the story of starting the travel agency, what happened, how it went, and it's really the truth about owning a small business. And then I've added in really what to do. So these are all those stories that we could have shared on, and did share some of them. This is what happened. This is what you can do. And there's stories of, all the different clients that I've worked with and some messes they've gotten themselves into, and how systems can kind of get you out of those messes and move you forward and give you your hope back, because you can make money owning a business. It's just, you don't have to pay your whole life to do it. You don't have to sell your soul to have an organized and profitable business, one that you're proud of and one that gives you the lifestyle that you want.
Okay.
So Thursday, Amazon, it's already on there.
So,
I'm so excited. It's just I got it on Amazon yesterday, and I was just like, I had some tears. So when you finish something, and it's like, yeah, I'm really proud of it.
yes, yeah. So definitely. So we've covered a lot of topics. An hour goes faster than you would think, but I think what you shared is very valuable. But a lot of times people can't take away everything you shared. So it's good to sort of just share 3 key points, 3 key things that people should take away and that they can start to implement immediately with their business, so that they can move forward, because it's a journey, it's an evolution. And if you're doing a little something every day, and as long as those somethings are the right somethings, you'll see some really great results in faster than you would ever think. So so I ask you to do that in a second. I'm going to play a quick video about my book, and then we'll be back with Beverly talking small business.
Growing revenue, increasing profitability, and obtaining financing are the results of running your small business like a pro.
This is really the path to achieving the success that most entrepreneurs and business owners are looking to achieve. But it's a path where most people get stuck between step 1 and step 2. Businesses close every day because their owners were not able to create a successful, sustainable enterprise. If you do not create an enterprise, the only way that you can sell your business successfully is you sell yourself with it.
This book is a common sense guide for learning how to run your small business as a professional enterprise.
You can pick up the book as a new entrepreneur or as a seasoned entrepreneur and get something out of it. It's very educational.
It provides a fundamental understanding of the challenges small businesses face with real-world solutions that drive results.
Life examples of what happens in business with cash flow, handling money, very, very accurate. And they were experiences that I've had.
Structure. If I do a shoot, I know that there are certain steps that I have to take to get me to where I need to go. But when it comes to business, I didn't have the same sense of what needed to be done. Andrew helped me see systems or steps we take to grow your business. So he's helped systematize it.
I worked with a client who...
Okay, great. So definitely, we come at it similar ways, but differently. But what we're talking about is so important if you're going to grow your business. A lot of times businesses go out of business just as quickly by growing too fast, without the structure and systems in place to support it. So, it's part of your evolution. And, when you find, when you're growing, moving your business forward, make sure you get the help you need to develop the systems that you need for running your business. So, okay. So, Beverly, we're talking about systems. What should we take away? What should we be thinking about or starting to do within our businesses?
Yeah. Based on today's conversation, I was thinking about three things that were coming to mind. The first one is take care of yourself. When we're talking about working on our business, really care about yourself as much as you care about your clients, and spend that time, as Andrew says, working on your business, because you're important in your success. If without you, this whole thing falls apart. The second thing, and the theme that seemed to be running through here, is think of your business as a learning organization. So continue learning, read Andrew's book, read my book, read other books, talk to your colleagues, go to the networking breakfast that he's offering, and really listen to what other people are doing. Just always be in that state of continuous learning. And of course, the third thing is just thinking in systems. A system is simply the way something happens. And when you think that it's just, it's not a people problem, it's not the economy, it's not the interest rates, it's just a system. If you need to adjust, you adjust the system. And that was really the ticket to financial and personal freedom. So thank you so much.
Great. So we're talking about taking care of yourself. I got to work on that myself, and probably most business owners, because it's so easy to slip into like working all the time. Or so you talked about your reputation, and you can't be at your best when you're tired, and that's when you may make mistakes and other things. So very important to take care of yourself so you can be your best and deliver your best. Learning organization. As a business owner, you need to be continually learning in every way. You should be curious about business. Every time I go into a business, I look at it and think about, do I like this? Do I not like that? Should I borrow this? And really thinking, will this apply to my business? So being a student of business is key. And then thinking in terms of systems, how, not just the result, but, how do we get to the result? What are the steps? And, how can you do that consistently? So, no, I think those are great things to leave us with, Beverly. Appreciate you coming, hanging out with me tonight. Excellent. Congrats on your new book. Forward to checking it out. And all small business, big opportunity. And yeah, definitely look forward to continuing to collaborate. So anything last you want to leave people with tonight?
Yeah, just thank you for the opportunity. And again, small business owners are the most generous people on the planet. Keep it up. And if you need help, reach out. There's lots of people like Andrew and I that really care about you and the success of your business. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. And just hang out for a few minutes as I close out. Okay, so thanks again, everybody, for tuning in. Definitely a great session, important things that we covered today. And looking forward to our guest for next week as well. Our guest actually is playing two roles. So our guest is Terry Travick. He's going to be talking about how to create new revenue streams for your business. But not only that, he's the featured guest speaker at the upcoming Power Breakfast event. So I have a quick video just to introduce you to him and sort of what you'll be able to, what the great things that he does and is doing. What does business strategy really mean to you?
Strategy, I try to make it as simple as possible. And I'll say strategy is simple, but it's not easy. To me, strategy is just answering the question of how you're going to accomplish your goals. A lot of people confuse goals with strategy. Once you figure out where it is you want to go, whether it's to start a new business, grow your business, optimize your business, whatever it is, strategy is really just answering, how am I going to get it done? Strategy is simply answering the question how.
What else is needed in addition to strategy?
A lot of companies or a lot of small businesses, they go through the strategic planning process, but then they never use it. Getting your strategy in place is just step one. If you really want to make money and actually create a winning business, you have to put the execution plan in place as well.
What is a good example of what you've been able to do for people?
I've done myself, and I've trained others on how to do it. At one point in my life, I was the global president for a financial services company. And in 3 years, we improved our profits by over $80 million. And then as a consultant, there's an example of a company I helped in Texas that was about an $8 million company 10 years ago. And organically, I've shown them and helped lead them to grow from an $8 million company to over $200 million today.
Okay, great. So definitely looking forward to hearing from Terry Travick next week, as well as at the Power Breakfast. Hopefully you could join us. And, really at the end of the day, the more that you know, the faster and more successfully your business is going to grow. So take care. Good evening, and thanks for participating.
Thank you for listening to Leadership Live at 8:05, Talking Small Business. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and to the podcast on your favorite podcast platform. Leadership Live is one of the many valuable resources provided through the Small Business Pro University, empowering business owners to learn, profit, and grow. Find out more at sbpro.u.com.